Syphilis.
Is that a word you can't say?
No, I don't mean like... It's a mouth exercise word.
Exactly, like a word that you need to practice to say in order to be able to say it. Not can't as in, I won't because that's verboten. Can't as in physically can't. Mentally can't.
Mentally can't. It's like moist with some people. I know that saying the word moist here is going to bug somebody. And we kicked off with it, so...
That or like really arouse somebody, I don't know.
Oh yeah, just somebody's just like, oh, say it again.
Into the microphone this time.
Say it slowly.
Oh gosh. Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Fucking on.
You started screwing around like yes, what? I just thought you were doing a bit.
Nope. That was it.
Okay, no, we're actually started. Okay. Hi
everybody. This is the Blue Collar Philosophers podcast. I am your favoritist. I know I say that. I know that there's a lot of people that like you too.
You can be favorite. I'll be smartest.
That's yeah. I'll take it. It's great. I am Biker Mike, and that is Kickstand. Devin Kickstand. We throw last names on this one? Or just leave it at that. I think we'll just leave it.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to find my name. I comment on her stuff all the time.
Everywhere.
That and my people have bred like rabbits. So.
Yes. Especially Eva, your great aunt.
Oh my gosh.
Do you ever does anybody ever razz you on that? It's
only
like,
you.
Baron.
Only
you're
you.
A Baron. Yeah, because I know
the
history.
Only
person. You go to any city, it's like, oh, what's your last name? Braun. Oh.
Yeah, but in all honesty, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I know. It's just a very German last name, and it's everywhere. There's nothing special. I really find it funny when a lot of people, they think just because they come from a royal background that makes them special. It's like, oh, well, my great uncle. Like, I myself come from a royal background, but that doesn't make me special.
Oh, it certainly does not.
No, it does not. Because if your family or your lineage
the
was
inbreeding
rich,
may explain a lot.
Not that royal.
Okay, not that royal. Okay, gotcha.
But if you come, if you were alive today, you are more likely. You got some
fresh blood in there just in time. Blood.
Yeah, we got late into the game. But if you come from any kind of lineage at all, you're more likely coming from something of higher ilk because you're more likely to survive. The higher ilk are more likely to live. Poor people don't reproduce the same,
and it's also
healthy.
It's like the 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon effect, right? Like, in all honesty, like humanity is so connected.
Yeah,
like you can find points of correlation or relationship to some person. Yeah, through a very short line.
Oh yeah. My uncle, Mark Twain. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm proud of that one, but at the same time, does that make me special? No, I'm not.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Explain yourself.
I have no idea. I was just told by my mother, who is one of those people who follows this shit, that I'm related to Mark Twain. He's like an uncle because he never actually married, but he had brothers and sisters, and they had family, and so I am somehow related to Mark Twain.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, it doesn't make me special. And heck, I might be lied to.
Maybe, but I mean, that would be the perfect example of like the Kevin Bacon effect.
Yeah, it really would.
Yeah. And if you don't know what the Kevin Bacon effect, there's a game people play of like 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon, where you say any random celebrity or person or notable person, and like in modern culture anyway. Yeah. And then you try and find your way to them through connections to Kevin Bacon, whether it's through sharing a co-lead with somebody who shared a co-lead with that, and like how it all connects.
I think a modern day wannabe Joe Rogan. I'm 2 degrees from Joe Rogan because I had met Hoist Gracie, who...
See? There.
2 degrees from Joe Rogan. It's not even that far. Just because I met Hoist and I got to train a little bit, and I know...
It's actually not that hard.
No.
And I'm sure in that respect...
Especially if you get around.
Yeah, you might be only 3 degrees from Kevin Bacon. He may have been on the Rogan podcast.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. So I'm 3
or at the very least 4 degrees, because somebody that's been on the podcast
Definitely
has done some kind of work with
Well,
bacon.
Seth MacFarlane has been on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he created Family Guy, and he had Kevin Bacon on his show, so I am at least 5 degrees.
Bam, there, done.
Wow, science. Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
we
that's
figured it out.
nothing at all what we were planning on talking about, but it was fun. I found out that not a lot, a few people listened to this podcast because Amanda came on.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
this
awesome.
guy's like, oh, I listened because Amanda was on. I'm like, fuck, why didn't you listen before? You know I've been sharing this shit, and I've been doing all this work. And he's like, I didn't take you as a swearer. And I didn't on that one. So
That's funny, but you guys talked about it.
we talked about it, and
But I think every now and then, if we have people like Amanda on, it's going to bring in the nice crowd to be re-traumatized.
yeah, they're going to be like, oh, they can't be that bad. And they're like, oh my God, they're really bad.
Speaking of, have you edited yet?
No, I haven't even gotten back to editing. I said a word, but we're not going to tell you what word. Let's not, and just let their imaginations fly. Well, by the time this one's released,
they'll already have listened to it.
I don't know how much I'm going to cut out, man. I'm like, gosh, should I just cut out full segments? Or
No, I think you honestly just need to put in the expletive delete beep sound. It'll be way funnier.
Yeah, but they're going to be able to figure it out.
So,
Oh, yeah. I think you'll be able to hear
It's
the
more
regret,
funny
the
than-
immediate regret of...
it's more funny than offensive.
Yes.
So, vis-a-vis
Yeah.
ergo, by our rule of life, we have to do it then.
Yeah. But the thing is, I didn't do it intentional. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it intentional. And I was like, no, it was in passing, and it wasn't in the right
But
spirit.
my joke after the fact was certainly intentional.
Oh, it was hilarious. I'm not going to bleep that one. No, I should. I don't know. We'll see.
No, you got to do them all, because it'll be extra funny with the extra, like, the beep every couple seconds.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, so I'm super stoked today.
Yeah? Oh,
Yes.
yes. Devin has had a great day. Tell the world.
Yeah, okay, so I am not a mechanically inclined person,
Oh, you're getting there. You're much more than you used to be.
but I'm starting to become more confident in working on my motorcycles. But one of my bikes, the Intruder, I crashed it at the end of last year, almost a year to this day ago.
Oh, right. No. Almost, yeah.
Almost a year to a year to this day ago.
Yeah.
It would have been end of September, early October is when that went down.
Yeah, I would have to look back at my text messages because you text me saying, hey, you want to go for a ride? And I was like, no, I'm busy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if I did say yes, you wouldn't have crashed.
Maybe. Like, I might have made different choices. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Nobody.
Maybe
not
I
me.
was destined to crash that day. I don't
We already went through free will. But
Yeah. But I've been ignoring that motorcycle ever since. I put it away in a shed because I had Rosie right to go there, and I was like, this is my bike for the summer. I am not thinking about that thing over there.
yeah, especially when it's electrical because you were having a little bit of it wasn't starting and there was no real reason why
Yeah,
not.
it wasn't starting. It was all banged up from going down. Like, it went down pretty hard. You know, I wound up breaking a couple ribs in the accident. And,
Yeah.
and I was like, but I was thinking, like, when I was wrenching on it, I'm like, why haven't I thought about this motorcycle?
Yeah. Well, most of the time because you had one in the bank. You had a bike you could ride. So it dropped on the priority list.
Yeah, it dropped on the priorities, but I think I was avoiding it. Like, I don't know. Like, thinking back to that day, I'm like, man, that day really kicked off. It really kicked off a shitty few months.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, with busting up the ribs, like, right in the middle of, like, super.
Oh, we were busy too.
Super intense work schedule. Like, it was. It put me behind the 8 ball financially, like, not because of fixing a motorcycle, because, like I said, I didn't fix it.
Yeah.
Just financially from not being able to accomplish the work I needed to accomplish.
Not in the same time, anyways. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
and not and also, like, having contractors be starting to get pissed off because things weren't getting done. They damaged some work relationships, and, like, I started burning out in that time.
Yeah.
On the club that we were in, and, like, we went right from that into winter, which is a dark time for me anyway because of the whole, like, a seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
I hate calling it I hate calling it a disorder.
Glitch? Can we call it a glitch?
It really does seem like just a fucking mental glitch. Because, like, he's calling something a disorder. It's almost like giving yourself an excuse for bad behavior.
Yeah,
or something,
excuse
right?
to be a bitch.
Right? Like, exactly. Like, all it is lack of sunlight, lack of sunlight.
Yeah.
It makes it so that you don't process vitamin D as well, and it affects
Your mental state and
yeah,
allows
it
you
affects
to
your affects your brain chemistry and mental state and makes you
regress into
into mild depression.
Yeah. And
Which can get bad if you leave it unchecked, which, put me in a bad place many, many a moon ago.
because you didn't recognize you didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So now you see the effects and you're like, oh fuck, that's what's happening here.
Yeah,
so now you're
exactly
able to catch
like,
it.
Once you know, and then there's no excuse to fall into it again because you're like, oh, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Easy to fix.
Yes.
So, but it still does add a level of pressure during winter.
Yeah.
And with being hurt and things going bad in the club, and that, it just
And money got tight too.
Money
and
got
you went
super,
to
super
Newfoundland, and it just whole.
yeah.
was
And
a
then
rough few
dealing
months.
with the loss of the club after the fact, all that stuff, and then starting the podcast, like it was like there was so much going on this year, and I honestly felt like that bike there was almost like a symbol of what
A representation
a representation of just the fucking suck winter.
of the kickoff of misery.
Not that the podcast is sucky, but that was actually a good coping mechanism for getting through all that.
Right. I love this thing. And I know other people. We have a friend that does one as well. And he's like, yeah, it helps me work through my stories. Like, try to figure out what happened. Where did things go wrong? How did I react?
Is that Bubbles?
Yeah.
Again, we need to give another shout out to Bubbles.
Oh, fucking A. Tales of Messed Up Northern Boy podcast.
Yeah.
On
He's our podcast buddy. Like,
Yeah.
we've known him for years and years and years. But, like, since he started up our podcast, we're talking, like, all the time, comparing notes and just,
Yeah.
being stoked for each other's episodes.
which he has more likes than us on.
Oh, and more downloads.
And more
per
downloads
episode, for
per
sure.
episode. And I'm like, fuck, you're just telling shitty stories. No offense. No, we're putting a lot of thought into every single sub. Not a lot.
Yeah.
We're putting a relative amount of thought. And he's like, no, I'm just telling my life. And he's like getting tons. And I'm like, fuck yeah, good for you. But
Yeah,
what the fuck?
It's interesting, and he's doing it on a shoestring budget, just
Oh,
a
yeah.
cell phone, basically.
Yeah.
A cell phone and a subscription to Podbean.
He is making us look like shit. I'm like, good for you.
Right on, dude. And, like,
if you haven't
If you
listened,
haven't
give it
checked
a
it out.
listen. It's fun.
it really, really is fun. Like, hearing somebody from the other side of the tracks of what we grew up with, but somehow managed to, like, have this common life with after the fact. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We're just nice, clean-cut youth group boys from
Yeah.
from
From Northern. Well, I'm from Canada.
Canada.
Canada,
Yeah,
and
me too.
you're from Northern BC.
Yeah, from
You're
Northern BC.
From Northern BC. I'm from Canada.
Yeah, and then
nowhere specific.
And then we get mixed up with all these ruffians and scallions and
Yeah.
turn into what we are now.
Yeah.
And then Dave is this absolute wild man from a whole different life.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is, since he met us, toned down a lot.
So I took E, and I've never been on E before. So I went to grab CDs out of my buddy's car, and I was like, "Hey, I should take him for a drive." And then he chased me down and beat the shit out of me. We're friends
We all
still.
just meet in the middle.
How the hell?
But those are the kinds. Those stories are so freaking entertaining, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I'm just listening to this. I'm like, how is this real life?
Yeah.
How is any of that real life? And then there's, like, people that are like, oh yeah, dude, I was there. And I'm like, what?
I thought he was just shitting me.
Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating for me to hear things from a life I can't comprehend.
Yeah,
And
'cause-
be like, okay, this stuff is real.
You're like, how the fuck did you get to that decision? I would never find myself, one, in that situation, or two, making that decision.
Yeah.
And he did both. And I'm like, all right, fucking A, let's listen.
It's
Entertaining as hell. Love you.
So yeah, we totally rabbit trailed there. But anyway, yeah, just talking about this bike, and I'm elated now that finally took it out of the shed, took it out of the shadows. It was a gremlin I was hiding from, and I was like, okay, this is something that can be fixed.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity to use it coming up. I'm taking a trip to go see my wife's family where it's still nice and warm and basically summer. And okay, I'm going to make that bike work. I'm
And
going
it's-
to make it good. and then we're gonna go enjoy ourselves. And it felt healing
Yeah.
of some of the negative mental images I've had of last year, of being like, represented in this bike in one way, and then just kind of working to fix this thing up and be like, it's good again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go use this,
Yeah.
and that just feels good.
Oh, I bet. So he is back on his little, I want to say little, but it's bigger than my bike, 1400 intruder.
Not physically. It's not physically bigger.
No, not physically bigger, but I'm talking about CC bigger. It's got more CCs and less frames, so it's like physically smaller, but bigger because it puts out so much raw power. It's just
raw torque. It actually is very small, very low in horsepower.
Oh, really?
It's super low in horsepower, but it's got a lot of low end torque.
Yeah.
And that torque just makes it so fun to be like rowdy around on. Like, like kicking around on twisty roads and stuff like that, where you're always just kind of in that
just right in that power band.
That sweet little power band to flick around on. Like, it's really nothing to write home about riding on the highway. You use a lot of fuel, and you have it wound right up, and because it's geared short.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a small tank, but like it is just it's a fun bop around.
See, I was riding Buddy's Venture for the trip there.
If you don't know what that is, it is
Yamaha.
It's like a motorcycle that's the size of a Cadillac.
Oh yeah, it's a huge motorcycle. I think it's about 1,000 pounds or so. And
you get back on your bike,
and I was riding that one, and I'm like, man, this thing has short legs. Like my bike, I can get to 120 in second gear. I can get to 120 in second gear. This one, I was like, oh man, it's that short legs. And it might have shorter legs, but I'm still getting to a very high speed very quickly. So it's not that it has really short legs, it's that it gets to the top of its speed so quickly.
On these bikes though, like each gear is got different legs to it.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee that's fifth and sixth gear, like just go for miles.
Fourth doesn't. Fourth gets to about 150. Which is odd to me. I'm like fourth in mine. You're screaming to 180, 190.
Right. See, yeah. So there is.
And then fifth gear, you're just hoping to hit 200, but I've never done it.
Because fifth gear on our bikes is overdrive.
Oh yeah, that's our overdrive.
They're technically 4-speed bikes with a fifth overdrive.
Yeah, and it just doesn't do what it. Yeah.
So with those 6-speed bikes, they have a 6 overdrive, so they can put a lot shorter and a lot more punch in those
on the bottom five
gears.
Yeah, and it's a torquey bike, man. It was fun to take, but at the same time, hopping back on my little guy,
little bikes are fun.
They are. They're just. It makes me want to get another smaller bike, like I don't know, Sportster 1200, or just something that's just small that I can rip it into and make it into an enduro or an on-road, off-road, something that I can have fun with. I really do want to.
Yeah.
So you got your bike back on the road today.
My first time riding it since I broke my ribs.
That's great. Did you get the insurance on it tonight?
I choose to invoke the fifth.
Yes. A whole lot of Nunya.
A whole lot of Nunya business.
Yep. So it is running, as far as any of you need to know.
Oh, gosh.
This will be 2 weeks out. You're fucking good.
Yep. It's all good. Come at me, bro. It's winter time now. They're done.
That's right. Anyways, so what we were going to talk about today.
Government-funded art.
Government-funded art. Well, okay.
What's the deal?
First off, I hate most art. I don't like the fact that people attribute value to art that I don't give a fuck about. Everyone's like, oh, this is... Like, if you ever go to somebody's house and they're like, oh, I paid like $10,000 for this piece of art.
No, I've actually never met anybody that's paid that kind of money for that kind of...
Okay. You know of people that may or may not have purchased stupid... Like, you've seen... I've seen some art, and I know it's valuable to the arbitrary world. Or it's valuable to the world, be it for the history or be it for whatever. I wouldn't pay that for most art because I don't believe it's worth that. Because it's not worth that to me. I don't care what it's worth to you. It's not worth that to me. if I was going to get art, I would get something that speaks to me as an individual. If I see something that speaks to me, I'd be more inclined to pay for it. And even then, it, depending on how much it costs, is really determining how much it means to me. If it's
exactly,
fucking
because
stupid,
because some people, okay, the government part aside, let's just talk a little bit about
that's what I'm working on first.
Arbitrary value. To some people, $10,000 is like $10 to you and I.
Yeah,
Like at that, like, so for us, our financial station in life changes our values.
yes,
Drastically from what people with more wealth value.
yeah,
Because we could look at something and we're like, how can something be so obscenely expensive?
yeah,
And it mind boggles us. It's retarded and, in all honesty, repulsive. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It makes me sick to think that people are spending that kind of dough on that when I'm scrimping by or working check to check or thinking a $10,000 job is like, oh, all right, that just saved us for the month here.
yeah. And then they turn around, they can throw that at a piece of art.
Yeah, they throw that at a piece of art. Or, I mean, that would be even cheap art.
Yeah,
You know,
to them.
to many collectors and stuff like that. But to some of those people, like, they have so much wealth that even that stuff is essentially free to them.
Yeah. It's but
So if everything in the world is basically free to you, how would that change what you find interesting?
yeah. See, that would be very difficult for me because you could show me something that really speaks to me, and when I see the price tag, it'll speak a lot less to me. I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it's real nice, but I ain't paying that. But if there was something that spoke to me so highly, and let's say it was $500, and then I would have to make a call. One, does the $500 in my pocket, if I had it,
Is that spoken for?
does it speak enough to me to withdraw that okay, I know that to me this piece of art is worth 10,000. To me it's worth 10, but knowing that I can actually afford it is worth, then yes, this is a deal to me. This is something to me because I see its value for what it is. There's this artist in the States and UK and stuff like that. I don't remember his name. Baskey. That's it. And or is that his name? Baskey.
I don't know. Dude,
Anyways.
I don't know.
He's this really great artist. He's phenomenal, makes some really great stuff. And he sees how stupid it all is, too, to the point where he created a piece of art and he put it into an auction and everyone knew that... Banksy, that's what it was.
Okay.
And he created this piece of art and he put it in this custom frame that as soon as the gavel struck to sell it at auction, it would cause a... what do you call it? A shredder to start shredding the painting as soon as it starts, as soon as the gavel. So somebody would pay for it, say, I'm buying that, and then immediately upon striking the gavel, it would drop into this thing and destroy it. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it got stuck. The shredder got stuck halfway, and apparently it doubled the value of it. Everyone's like, oh, now it's worth more.
That's
It's
fantastic.
like, fuck you. Like, it's so pretentious. It's so...
But at that point, like, I can see that because, like, it's a punk on the guy that tried to fuck over the guy that
Yes.
spent the money on it, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, your point that you were trying to be all artsy fartsy and avant-garde, bullshit
Yeah.
just backfired on you.
And it's like, oh, now I can
That's
declare it worth more.
hilarious.
It's like, fuck you. Can't you see that I'm trying to take you down a notch and show that what you really value is worth nothing at all? It's literally shredded away. And then they turn around and say, no, it's worth more.
That is so hilarious to me that whole thing backfired on him.
Yeah.
Lesson not learned.
And the thing is, I don't know if Banksy did it on purpose or accidental or how it played out, but I know it played out, and I saw the video, and I'm like, fuck yeah. It's not to say fuck yeah to the rich, really absurdly rich people who can afford this stuff or make it. One of the things I hate is that they are taking away the average man's ability to obtain art. They are keeping it a class thing where you can't afford art. Art is for the real rich people. So they are just, it's like, no, this is for us, not for you.
I will disagree on that point because, like, for me, like, I buy a CD and an LP, an album.
Yeah.
There's a fucking awesome piece of art right there,
Oh, yes.
painted on it. Like you look at a classic Megadeth album, like Peace Sells, but Who's Buying, or Rust in Peace,
Yeah.
and look at that hand painted thing that was taken and made made to go with the piece of music. I'm like, that's fucking cool. I'll buy T-shirts with that crap on it. Like,
Yeah.
Wife goes to one of those kitschy places to buy flowers or something like that, and comes back with a little piece of something to hang on a wall. Like,
Yeah.
technically that is art. Like, it is something that prettifies a wall, that makes
Yeah.
a blank space something nicer. Like, the idea that art is only that high level, or that high money level bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. No, art
Yeah.
is way more.
But the thing, like, I don't know if Banksy ever intended for his art to be that. And that's what I don't like, is art that was never intended to be anything big. It was just beauty for the sake of beauty, and they're just hogging it sometimes. And it's like, why do you just need to take this thing that is genuinely beautiful? Maybe because I feel like it speaks to me sometimes when I see someone's work, and I'm like, I really like that. But knowing that if I got anything, it would be a printout or...
What would be wrong with the printout?
Nothing.
Right?
Maybe the human touch, the flair, the actual lift off the canvas, just something that you could see the intent of the artist, as opposed to just a piece of paper with a print on it. It's like, it doesn't have the depth to it. The human touch.
Fair enough. But if you did have that, how much would you actually value it? If you could have the one thing, like if Banksy himself came and gave you one of his things, it'd be like...
It'd be a really hard sell for me not to sell it. It would be like, because I know that if I sold that, I could pay off my house, I get 20 motorcycles and get it. Like, I'd be fucking set.
But if you did keep it, like, it'd go on a wall in your room.
Yeah.
Maybe decorate our pothole. Like, we'd look at it every now and then. It'd be really novel for a while. But even then, in time, it would just become part of the background.
Yeah. See, I really do want to get some art for the pothole. Mostly a Johnny Cash painting or whatever, because I just feel like he
embodies
the Blue Collar Philosophers podcast. I think he would have been such a great guest. Yeah. So art is such a strange thing, and the fact that a lot of rich people use it as a tax haven and them attributing value to it arbitrarily.
But they find all sorts of ways to do that.
Oh, yes. But it's just such a dirty way to do it. It sucks, because again, it's hogging it, increasing its value unintentionally.
Does it really suck though, or is it just a game that those fuckwads play? Let them circle jerk each other.
And the thing is, the government falls for it too. They make a way for it. Yeah. The government creates a haven for it.
As an individual, as a person on my plane,
it
doesn't change anything. I get all the cool art I want.
Yeah.
At my level.
Yeah, I guess I just don't like the disadvantage that the government has created, the haven that they've created for unbelievably rich people to hide their money and save it from the tax man and be like, oh no, this is
but that's a bigger problem than just art.
Yeah, that's true.
There's special bank accounts they make for that. There's ways, there's loopholes.
But
for
they
taxes.
are contributing.
There's all sorts.
Some artists are contributing to it. Artists contribute to it.
Yeah, I mean, some companies contribute to that stuff with shit that they make that we buy all the time.
Heck, there's an app online right now, I think it's called Wondery or something like that, which allows you to choose an art style, and it has an AI machine that literally creates art.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and it's not horrible. I'm seeing some of it, I'm like, oh, that's not bad. Like, it's got, not exactly my style, but at the same time, I don't know the niche words to put in there to make it worth or make it into something. So,
yeah.
All right. So, the art world is very complicated, and people attributing value to something that I don't understand how they decide or if it even is worth it, because we attribute value to things like your motorcycle. I attribute more value to my bike than it's worth. Mostly because I don't want to sell it. If I wanted to sell it, I would put it at a higher rate. But if I don't want to sell it, guess what? Like, it's going to be a lot higher.
So if you wanted to sell it, you would put it at a lower price.
Yeah, I would put it at a lower price if I wanted to sell it. If I didn't want to sell it, you could offer me...
Yeah, like if you're motivated to get liquid, like either to upgrade or to deal with a financial need that crops up or something like that, then yeah. Like, then the dollar values, they go down.
Yeah. So I'm willing to do that. But at the same time, when we attribute value to it, it's because, no, this is what it's worth to me. Right now, in this moment, this is what it's worth. You couldn't pay me enough for... Oh, sorry, most of my life is liquid right now.
Right? Like, but that's not a bad place to be.
No.
Like, that's not a bad headspace to be in. And I almost think, like, maybe us with our toys, with our mechanical horses, maybe should put less... Maybe we should have a more liquid attitude towards them.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing to do, too. To keep everything, like... I've had a hard time getting rid of some things because, like my boat, for instance. I got this boat, and it was my grandfather's. I bought it. It's a great boat, but I don't have time to use it. I really don't, but I paid for it. It's mine. And could you pay me enough for it? Yeah, maybe. You could, but it's going to be quite a bit because it was my grandfather's and it means something to me. Yeah, my camper, though, I got it for free. Guess what? I'm selling it for $3-4 grand. I don't care how much you say it's worth. It's like, no, I know it's worth this much. I know that I can sell it for this. I don't care if I got it for free. It doesn't bother me.
I mean, like, that's business sense. Like, to be liquid, it doesn't mean you neglect... It doesn't mean you neglect business sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to say, like, all right, here's a dollar number, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And be willing maybe to negotiate a little bit within that.
Yeah.
But that's not being overly sentimental.
Yeah.
That's being practical and
I'm
pragmatic.
a little sentimental on the boat.
Yeah, as long as you are being realistic.
Yep.
And honest with yourself about why the price is, and it's fair for everybody involved.
Yeah.
That's being just good business.
Do you ever think that if you overthink about it, like let's say I was going to sell my bike, would I want $5 grand? What if I really think about it? Okay, I'll give 3. Like if I thought about it, it's got so many little things that are wrong with it that everyone's like, this is not worth 5. I'm like, you're right. I want 5.
Yeah,
because I have to replace it.
There was a while back when I was strongly considering like spending a lot of money on a bike. So I was like, okay,
was that the F6B?
Yeah. So I was thinking of getting Rosie ready to sell. And I was bullshitting with a guy about it, a friend of mine. He's like, oh man, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you could get like 8-9 grand for that. And I was like, what? I can? I was thinking way less than that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think you know that bike like I do.
Yeah. It's like, do you know how many headaches this bike has given me? It's like when everyone says
it's
you
like
have good... Everyone's like, you have good kids. I'm like, fuck, those ones?
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite of you. I chronically undervalue all my shit.
I overvalue all my shit.
Yeah, like it makes me petrified actually to try and sell things because I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get ripped off. I know I am.
Yeah.
The only thing in life where I know my value is at work.
Yeah.
Or with my trade.
Yeah, you're like, I know what I'm worth, and if I don't want to do it, trust me, you're gonna pay. Because that is a nice place to be, though, is to know exactly where you're at. You know your worth. You can't get ripped off because this is my domain, where vehicles, yeah. I see what mine is going for. So a while ago when I was asking 5.5 for it, yeah, I was like, all right, I want 5.5. I don't think it's worth 5.5. I want 5.5 because I know you could turn around and get the same one for 4 anywhere else.
Yeah. So you can't get out but that's also a smart business thing though. Like if you know you can't get out of this enough funds to put into something to put in to get what you need to upgrade
Yeah.
or to get another motorcycle. And you don't have the savings there or stuff like that. Like, you're not being like, okay, I need part of it. I know this is what it's worth. That'll help.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I need this to cover the cost of the next thing I step into,
Yeah.
then keeping it is worth far more than selling it.
Yeah. And that's where I was at. It's like, man, I know what it costs to replace it, and I know like what I got to do. So if I'm going to replace it, this is how much I'm asking. Okay, so I bought a car for $125. Buddy had a car problem, and he was just going to throw it out. He was literally going to throw this car out. And I said, hey, man, what does it need? So I found out what it needed, and it needed about, I think he said $4,000 of work. And I was like, okay, how much is it worth? And he's like, $4,000. So why would I spend $4,000 and make zero, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did a little research, too. I found out it's not worth 4, it's worth 6. And I found the work for cheaper. And I did a little more research, did a little more digging. So I was like, all right, I'll give you twice as what the junkyard will pay you. So I'm helping him and helping me. One, he didn't have the time to work on it. He didn't have the patience to sit. There was a lot of things going on in his life. And so I'm like, I'll give you $150. Or he made the price. I didn't set the price. He set the price. I agreed to it. And then I sat on it. I sat on it until I could afford to fix it. And then I turned around, got it fixed, got it detailed, did all that work, and sold it for $6,000. I sat on it for $6,000 for, I want to say 3 or 4 months. I sat on it. Like I didn't do anything, but at the same time, I saw its value. I knew what it was worth because of the market, and I was able to do that. I was able to say I could wait and wait and wait until I get the right buyer. You want a tire kicker, you're going to get tire kickers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for me, like, that makes sense. Like, I understand, like, vehicles have value. They have usefulness for somebody. Somebody needs to spend money to have this work for them.
Yep.
And its value is dependent on that. Like,
on its usefulness, yeah.
On its usefulness, on its market value, like, what you can trade it for other things of the same sort.
Yeah.
And that all makes sense. But when it comes to art, it's like,
yeah,
how the hell how the hell is there any market value that you can decipher?
Yeah, you can't trade for it.
Where
you
it sits in a hierarchy.
Well, and it has to be worth what somebody else says it's worth. It can mean okay, if my kid made a great piece of art, let's say my kid made something just unbelievably beautiful, to me, that art is priceless. To somebody else, it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know who did this? My 7-year-old did this art for me.
And that instantly deflates it.
Yeah, it instantly, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't matter who, but it does matter to you.
Yeah, because it doesn't come from any kind of pedigree or person or group of people that all decided together that
this is worth something.
Even with something ostentatious like a supercar.
Yeah.
Like, like a $3 million dollar car. Like, I mean, yeah, there is some pedigree, there is some I guess je ne sais quoi, like about like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Bugatti or something like that.
I saw Maserati last weekend.
Oh, nice.
I was like, oh man, that's Maserati.
But at the same time, you are getting a brilliant piece of engineering that can perform in ways that blow your mind. Like, there's an experience there, like, more than just sitting on a wall and being squiggles and lines.
Yeah.
Like, so even though this is impractical, I could still see, like, the engineering, the human, the human touch, but like the human usefulness, like the thrill, the fact that this thing will do something that nothing else in your lower tier of value will do, and look a certain way doing it.
It engages you.
Yeah.
It engages you. It
like,
grabs part of your senses, the sound, the movement, the
even
theater of the motor.
Even something less on like the performance end of things, but like a custom chopper.
Oh yeah.
Or like an old 50s hot rod or something like that. It's not going to perform like a like a Maserati or a Bugatti.
Well, it's not even going to afford like my Dodge Caravan.
Yeah.
An old hot rod will get smoked by my Dodge Caravan.
But
I'll be like,
but it'll sound like thunder. It looks like sick and badass. Like
Yeah.
it's something that you're in and can use and enjoy and modify to your heart's content. Like in a sense, you're almost participating in the art. Like
Yeah.
you become part of the artist, you know,
yeah.
lineage by what you do to it then,
Yes.
or how you experience it. It's
But-
like, see, I get all that. I just don't get
Paintings.
I don't get it. Like when I can look and see like the album covers kicking around my house and be like, yeah, that's fucking cool. I like that. But like I paid.
Or even looking at you ever look at blueprint drafts of motors, like
Yeah.
engineering
Oh,
schematics
cool,
and stuff
yeah.
like that? They're really cool looking at the detail, the lines, the measurements, and all this stuff. I'm like, some people are like, what? It's just a V-twin motorcycle motor. It's like, I don't get it. I'm like, but it's beautiful. Like to me,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I've seen some art out there.
But
I'm
still,
like,
like,
fuck, that's
but
awesome.
Again, it's at our level. Like as far
Yeah.
as value goes, right? It's realistic things.
Yeah.
But like it's just, yeah. I just don't get. I don't get the higher levels of it. It starts to make less and less sense to me.
Yes, and we're going to go to the highest level. Well, not the highest, second highest.
To the gayest level.
The stupidest level is government-funded art.
Bureaucracy.
For some reason, socialists love funding art. And I say socialists because I know capitalists do as well, but capitalists allow markets to just determine what they decide art is worth. Where socialists, they're like, oh, we can't have anybody in our system starving, not even the artists who sit there and starve themselves by not getting a job or
Is that why they do it? Like
I don't know.
I don't
I'm,
think so.
I'm attributing a lot of bad faith because it's government and it's a body or it's an organizational body as opposed to an individual.
I thought you always attribute good faith, Michael.
On
You say it on every
individuals,
podcast.
on individuals, not on entities.
Individuals are entities.
No, I'm like mass ones, like Walmart. Fuck Walmart. Sorry, I know they're trying to do their best to make money for themselves and their shareholders, but
Isn't that capitalism?
yes, but I don't assume that they're like, oh, they're doing it for the right reason. No, they're doing it for themselves. Let's just,
But isn't that capitalism though?
yeah, it's fine.
Oh,
I
have trouble always
I
lining
have-
up your consistency.
I know, and so do I. We are all dualistic in our own ways, and that's one of mine. Anyways, government-funded art, I don't understand how we allow it to exist. I think
Okay, so what's up your craw? What brought this to your forefront?
the whole idea of
Because it was something more local. Like it was
Okay.
something you saw locally that got you thinking about this. So
I see when governments pay artists to do work. They go to an artist and say, we like what you're doing. We want a piece here. Tell us how much it costs. And the artist is like, oh shit. It's a name your price. And I hate the name your price game that they get to play. I don't get to play that. You don't get to play that. With drywalling, you have an upper tier of how much you can put. When it comes to government, you can make your upper tier whatever you want it to be, especially when it comes to art, because they don't know. They're not the experts. They have nothing to compare it to. It's like, oh, you might be paying this, but you're paying for me.
Okay, well, that being said, like, except I'm going to be you and be
Devil's
like,
advocate, yeah.
I'm aspiring good faith. There are bean counters.
Yes, there are.
To bureaucracies, and they could
Yes.
be like, fuck that number, find somebody cheaper.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. But when it's a friend of the bean counter, it's a lot harder when they're like, oh, yeah, no, I know this guy. He's he's great. He's amazing. It's like, no, he's not. He's okay. He's fine. And he'll make some really great arbitrary, like, what's it, when it's all weird looking?
talking about here in town?
No, just in general, just art that doesn't look like anything at all. And then you're like, oh, no, that
Oh,
really
like kinda
does
like
speak to...
Postmodern art?
Postmodern. Oh, there's a word. I can't think of it. But it's just...
Avant-garde?
Maybe. I don't know. It just looks like a mess, and you're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that speaks to me, too. And I heard somebody say one time, where the best artists and the best musicians know how to draw inside the lines. Everyone just assumes that something is art because somebody calls it art, but if you tried to get them to color inside the lines, they couldn't do it for you.
Well, yeah, there's conventional types of art that are motifs that have rules that and a lot of art up till kind of this modern age has always been within like a genre or something, right? And so like here's the bounds of the genre, and then artists will put a lot of effort into do something unique within it.
Yeah.
But now we're in this space where artists just kind of do whatever. It's just a spastic, like blah of stuff in random shapes or things like that. Just it doesn't map onto any kind of meaning that a normal person would encounter, right?
Mm-hmm.
All it is a type of material that's just haphazardly put together.
Yeah.
Until the artist says, okay, I guess there's nothing more I want to do to this.
Yeah.
Here, does this look cool, public?
Yeah. And the public decides at that moment, is this something that really, really does speak to them? But sometimes I just feel like it's a giant circle jerk. I really do. I feel like there's a bunch of people just saying, oh, yeah, this guy did this one piece that was amazing. Like, you remember The Other Guys, where there was this coffee table that was just completely disarrayed, messy, and ugly, and they were trying to explain it away, how this thing was trying to be expressed to the artist. And it was like, I don't know, it was so ironic and so just pretentious, just so much work. Like, I couldn't imagine putting that much work into mental gymnastics to justify my existence. And I'm like, no, my work is that I smash things with a hammer, or I just try and make something functional. And
I mean, isn't all art a little pretentious then?
Yes.
I mean, because it's all some type of, even what we're doing with the podcast.
Yeah.
It's all some type of trying to leverage your intellect or an intangible creativity into, some kind of thing you can show people.
Yeah. I think what I like that we're doing here with the podcast, though, is the fact that we are filtering ideas through a lens that people can actually relate with. Where some people, they can't relate with some of these topics because they're like, oh, this is beyond me. It's like, no, it's not beyond you. You're able to think about these things because I'm not overly educated and I can think about them. And hey, have you ever thought about it in this way? Like we were talking about...
Can I just push pause there?
Yeah.
You know that ding that you just heard?
Yeah.
Was a buddy from Saskatchewan that just sent me a link saying, hey, this looks like a cool idea you could explore on Blue Collar Philosophers podcast.
Oh, really?
So we're sitting here recording an episode, and people are sending me potential ideas for things we could record on.
That's great.
That's
awesome. Is it our friend?
What? It's Epps.
Oh.
Yeah, Bigfoot.
Oh.
It's Bigfoot.
See, I'm doing my best not to look at my phone. Oh, now I want to... Oh, it's all right. Maybe we could slam this one out a little quicker and then get another one really quick. But yeah, I don't like art. Yeah. Mostly, again, if you're going to get art... I know we kind of hijacked the idea, but...
So...
If you're going to get art, never get something... Never entertain the idea of get something that speaks to somebody, like it's worth money, so you just want to get it. It's useless.
Yeah, you're not participating in art then. You are participating in a type of influence culture that you want to be a part of. Like you like at that point you're just looking for items that will help you be accepted by an upper echelon of people that you want to be a part of, right?
Yeah, you're buying a badge.
Yeah, you're buying a badge. You're buying tokens for entry.
Yeah, just like people who buy Grey Goose vodka and just these things that a nice Mercedes and Porsche and all these things. If you can't fucking afford it, leave the Audi alone. Leave the Picasso alone. Leave the Grey Goose alone. Drink your shitty alcohol. Sorry, vodka. I'm not a fan with. So it doesn't.
All vodka's shitty. I don't care how expensive it is.
It's just
Some
vodka.
people are like, oh, it's so smooth.
Oh, it's so.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still just.
It's
gross.
vodka. It's fine. It's good. Just don't think that it's anything
High
special.
test potato water. Okay.
It is. If you look into the chemical balance of it, yeah, it's not special. You want to make it special, filter it through a Brita like 6 times and it'll taste. You can filter, what do they call it? Smirnoff through a Brita filter 6 times and it'll taste like Grey Goose, which still doesn't taste good. Not a fan. Don't care for vodka.
I'm a fan of certain drinks that have vodka in them.
Yeah.
Like it's a good thing to give a cocktail a good punch of, alcoholic kick.
Yeah.
Or get you drunk after you mask all the flavors.
That's the flavor of vodka.
But I mean, let's say like I like a good martini.
Oh yeah.
Like although I'm learning to prefer gin in them
Oh yeah.
because gin actually has an inherent flavor.
Yep.
But yeah, like vodka martinis, like have a little dirty, or you do one with coffee or crushed up cucumbers and stuff like that. Like it's delightful. I mean, the vodka is there, but it's actually complemented by whatever else is going on there. But you can't just sit and drink vodka like you can a good scotch.
Yeah, I've tried it. I used to do it when I was young.
It's a mixing spirit. It's not a drinking spirit.
Yeah. And I used to drink it straight because I thought I was cool as a teenager. And I'm like, man, you ever look back at your, well, maybe not you, because you had you were a little more youth group than I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look back and I'm like, man, I was so retarded. And I wish I had a podcast like this to listen to that tell me how retarded I was.
So yeah, if you're listening to this and you're a teenager, just know that you're fucking retarded.
I had some people come up to me
And it's okay.
today at church and they're like, hey, drums are the devil. And I'm like, oh no. Oh. They're like, yeah, we listened. I'm like,
Oh, that's hilarious.
oh, thank you and I'm sorry simultaneously. Yeah, they gave it a listen. It's like, wasn't bad. I'm like, it's really good. We enjoy it. It's a lot of fun at the same time.
Oh, that's funny.
I told them not to listen.
But that just makes people want to listen more.
I know. It's great.
That's our marketing strategy, is telling people don't.
Yeah, just don't listen. We are the least marketable podcast. That's our claim to fame.
All right. So before we drop this art thing, I just want to say one thing. I want to push back a little bit on your idea of, because art has existed long before capitalism was a thing.
I'm not saying art is bad.
Yeah. So art, it's existed for a lot longer than any kind of free market thing or capitalism or anything like that has existed, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, art was something that was always commissioned.
Yes. Well, Michelangelo.
Otherwise, artists didn't have any means to produce anything.
Yeah.
Like, it was like they were kind of like, okay, I'm just sitting around here. I'm waiting for work, and they'd get hired to do things, or they would have a patron.
That's true.
Take them on as be like, okay, you're my artist. I'm your patron. I'm going to fund your ability to produce things, and I expect output for me to use or enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's our relationship. Like that's a time honored tradition of how art works.
Yeah.
And I think our cities in some way are kind of like that with them commissioning pieces or artists to do stuff for them. I just wish they had better taste.
I agree. More really, naked people. Come on.
Can everybody just get the fuck over postmodernism already?
Yeah. Oh.
Just this inherent dystopian, like nihilistic idea of what art is just dissolving meaning into nothing but splotches and angles and random pieces of shit welded together without any image to be brought forth from it.
Yeah.
Like, can we all just get over that?
Yeah.
And let people do something that is actually connecting to the human spirit?
Do you know what really art that really I love that's free?
What's that?
Train.
The
The graffiti
graffiti
on the side of
I
trains,
fucking-
man. It's
I fucking love good graffiti.
Every single time I see a train parked and I'm driving down the highway, I will slow down to the safest legal speed, and I will just be looking at this art as I can, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, it's so good. Especially in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, Alberta, you're flat. So if your road is beside a train and it's going the same direction.
Yeah, but if all your writing is "all lives matter" or just giant dick pictures like on stuff, like
It could be a really nice dick pic, though.
like, but like if all,
I know what
if all
you're
you're
saying.
just being it's just like a douchebag kid just like defiling things,
For the sake of defiling them.
yeah,
like,
with like
you're just
okay,
being a nihilistic
just-
fuck.
yeah. No, but like I like the idea of that, like for talented people that know how to use spray cans, like it's like vigilante art.
Oh, yeah.
Like I kind of dig that vibe.
Yeah.
Like nobody's getting paid. They're not. It's somewhere that it's put somewhere where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But it's still good,
Yeah.
and it's kind of against the rules. It's rubbing it. It rubs the man wrong, and
Yeah.
they might try and get rid of it, and then boom, another one pops up. I kind of like that dynamic.
Yes. And with the train cars there, especially when it's very good, I think I would have a very hard time painting over that. Like, as a person, I'll be like, sorry, man, this is making us look good. Like, people love this shit. You want people to pay attention to trains? Let it fly. Let it go good. Like, if it's good, keep it up. Great. If it's just, yeah, like you were saying, all lives matter and all this stuff, or whatever it is, just don't bother.
Oh, what was the one? Okay, so a couple of years ago, one of the houses we were building, it got broken into and vandalized.
Oh, yeah.
And man, like it was
They were
definitely just the kids.
so-
Like they broke windows, they broke drywall, they spray painted like nonsense sayings all over the place.
Okay, the sayings that I remember were Black Lives Matter.
Okay, yeah, they did that one. That's probably why that came to the front of my head, is because it was like just these kids
Yeah.
that broke our shit.
And so we're
painted
like,
that.
oh, did you fuck with somebody? And there was some kind of gang. They were like some crew or club. I don't know what they were trying to say. They were saying something stupid. I didn't remember what it. The funnest one was LGBTQ is a myth.
Yeah.
And I was like,
At the same time,
Black Lives Matter,
yeah,
LGBTQ is a myth.
So they were mixing leftist messages.
Yeah, and then they had a satanic star, like a pentagram or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then they had a Star of David
Next to it. Yeah.
nearby. I'm like, oh, these kids were dumb.
No, there wasn't a Star of David. It
There
just-
was a Star of David.
It was a pentagram with a circle.
No, they had a Star of David as well. They did. I remember seeing it because I'm like, hey, are they anti-Semitic or pro-Semitic? I don't know.
Yeah, because there was also a Jews suck one. that
Yeah,
they
Jews
painted.
suck, but they also had a Star of David. They had a legitimate Star of
It
David.
was just like
so dumb.
just all in just like black. They were just spray painting it with like bad handwriting.
Yeah, there was some kind
It
of.
was awful.
It was bad.
That's bad graffiti. Not the kind of graffiti we're talking.
No.
we're praising.
The graffiti we love is the good stuff on the sides of trains, and if you don't get to see it, do a slight Google search. You'll see some phenomenal art out there, and it's great. I love seeing it every time. In fact, I'm looking forward to now. I want to
And
take
the
a road
great thing
trip.
about it
just to
is
see
you don't have to pay it, so you don't have to have the inner dilemma of value.
And you want to take a picture of it, you take a picture of it.
It's calorie-free art. Okay, there we go.
It takes nothing.
All right, let's wrap this sucker up.
Art, it's interesting, but stupid.
And it's hard to discern value on things.
It is. I guess for me, I guess this one applies to me. Mike, God bless. Mike, don't be a dick.
Are we saying that directly to you?
We're saying that one to
Okay.
me. You can say it.
All right, Michael, don't be a dick.
God bless. podcast music has been brought to us by Kirk the Riffer Wells. He is at Liquid State Audio. He is a guitarist, producer, and the mixing engineer. Thank you from the Blue Collar Philosophers.